Hello everyone and welcome back for another CNN weekly recap. Hasn't been too much that's happened over the week. We had some matches over the weekend. Some of the best matches that we've had in an incredibly long time. There was the good, the Houston Atlanta. There was the bad, some of the games that we're not going to highlight specifically. And the ugly, the San Francisco Shock versus the London Spitfire. I did the good and the ugly. If you want to check those out on my channel, but let's talk about everything else that happened throughout the week. So, some explosions have happened at the Guangzhou Charge as they've pretty much completely changed their roster. Everyone is sad. I am sad. Jimmy's sad. It's just been a hard week to be a Guangzhou fan. Primarily, they've dropped Custa one, which is kind of been the carry and a staple for the Charge for a very long time. So it's sad to see him moving off of the roster. And then we had Ty Dollar as an assistant coach also disappearing. So he's no longer on this roster. Then they got rid of Sung Woo, who's also not on the roster. So if you're keeping track, Sung Woo and Ty Dollar were the two coaches of the Guangzhou Charge. So they lost their hard carry in choice of one. They lost Ty Dollar and Sung Woo, both of their coaches. And then they signed Jinmu. I don't know what to say. It could have a lot of different, answers. We haven't been really given full context of why all of these transitions have happened. Obviously, last year of Overwatch League, for the most part, everyone's starting to sort of prepare for that. Maybe Guangzhou Charge, seeing the writing on the wall, all these players not wanting to play for this team anymore. Just all these things have happened. So they are now a fully Chinese team. So they have 5 Chinese players. So that's nice for them. Piggy is obviously not on this team anymore as well. He has been replaced by Gaga. So a lot of different moves happening for the Guangzhou Charge, but it's unlikely that they're going to be competitive in the same way that they were in the spring stage, which kind of sucks. I would probably put these guys, well, I'll show you where I'm going to put them when we get to the power ranking segment after. So it's cool to see Jinmu back in the league, but now we have Jinmu Jimmy in a Tracer Sombra meta, which it's not really where I would want to be if I'm a team, but it'll be entertaining at least. Hoping Guangzhou can have some fun games, but I don't expect them to be as competitive as they would be in the past. Then, Los Angeles Gladiators making a move as well. They've signed Cal, who's, if you aren't aware, is a North American flex support player. He's been a good player in North American contenders for a while. Awesome for him to finally get his shot in the league. If you've been keeping track, this is the 4th support player that the Gladiators have now. They have Funny Astro, they have Babel, who are the 2 primary starters. Lastro was on the bench and sort of coming in to play the Brig on certain maps, and now they have Cal. The rumors are that Lastro will be getting released and sort of, I don't know if retiring or whatever, but the rumors are that Lastro is going to be disappearing, and that's why they have signed Cal. So it makes sense if they want to sort of shore themselves up for whatever the playoffs meta is going to be. We know it's a new support hero coming out, so maybe just covering all their bases for the Gladiators. We'll see how this ends up affecting them. It's kind of hard to know. I doubt it's going to change a lot of their starting lineup. They, them? All right, thank you very much. They, them. Then we go to the Vegas Eternal, who have signed Finale. Finale has been playing in contenders in the Eastern region. What team was Finale playing on? Shoot, chat, help me out here. Finale was on one of the contenders teams that was competing very recently, like on these things. O2 Blast, was it O2? He's been competing in the league, but now he is going back to the league and like on one of the official teams. Pokerface. All right, I'm getting mixed messages, chat. All right, he was on Pokerface. He's been playing on Pokerface, obviously a part of Toronto Defiant in the last year. He was pretty solid. I think a lot of people really liked him. I like this signing for the Vegas Eternal. Likely to replace Dove in the starting rotation, leaving only, as you can... Oh, actually, you guys can't see it. Leaving only your boy Rack Attack to be in the starting rotation. But Vegas Eternal making a lot of improvements with the addition of the 3 players that they had. Obviously, Knife has been absolutely exceptional on the Tracer. So the wonderings of if Vegas are going to get their first win this weekend will be the best opportunity, because this weekend they're playing against the Los Angeles Valiant and the London Spitfire. So very winnable matches here. And if Finale can give them that edge, mechanical skill sort of put them to the next level, that would be awesome. See Vegas get their first win. They just keep making additions. Avala has officially stepped down from being the only sub for the Vegas Eternal, so we're all really disappointed about that. We won't get to see, I was going to say Luke Mino and Hanzo again, but that's definitely not happening on the San Francisco Shock. Actually, not true. It's the San Francisco Shock. The way they're playing right now, they could play Luke Mino and Hanzo. It's probably more likely on the Shock than it is the Eternal. So it is what it is. Some other final bit of news as well. We have the Soul Infernal. They made a tweet that a couple of their players have gotten COVID, so it was going to be a LAN event this weekend, but because of COVID, it's not going to be on LAN. So just some minor news. Poco really trying to, I don't want to say weasel, trying to find his shot, shoot his shot again, get him into play. Honestly, I'd be down to see Poco play, but it's more likely that they're all just going to be playing online. Hopefully everyone can stay safe. Let's go on and talk about the Pickems. Let's talk about the matches that happened over the weekend and get my Pickems done for the following weekend. Let's make this quick. I don't want these videos to be too long. San Francisco Shock played the Los Angeles Valiant, and this was a close series. Shock have been playing a very weird style lately where they've been trying to lean more into like proper playing this like Pharah. They play a lot of Mercy to enable proper, and then Junbin's just been playing whatever he feels like. And it's been... Last weekend, it was... week one, it actually worked to some degree, and we were like, oh my god, Shock are doing it. But then they almost lost to the Valiant, and they did go on to lose to the London Spitfire. So it didn't look great. They just didn't have a great game plan going into either of these matches. Felt like they were sort of shooting themselves in the foot with some of their compositions and some of their swaps. So San Francisco Shock plummeting down the power rankings. While the Valiant, they still look improved. They look like they're doing better, but just not enough to get over some of these teams. They even lost to London Spitfire themselves because London just playing pretty much purely the Reinhardt composition and just running people down. And no one's was able to come up with a solid answer. People are trying to play Pharah to little success. Maybe the Reinhardt is here to stay. I expect teams to sort of see this coming a little bit more. There's only so many times you can surprise people playing the Reinhardt. So this weekend's London Spitfire, they're going to be playing the Gladiators and Vegas Eternal. As I said, we'll see if it continues to work. Boston Uprising went up against the Toronto Defiant, and Toronto have been looking much improved, but not enough to beat the Uprising. Uprising playing this Tracer Sombra pretty much exclusively, really leaning into that and playing it very well. While Toronto, the additions of Spectre and Opa has definitely improved, helped this team improve over the break, but they're definitely not in that like upper top 4, top 5 echelon right now with like Boston, Atlanta, because they also played against Atlanta Reign this weekend. And Atlanta, they look a lot more beatable than they did in the spring stage at this point, but it's just not enough to get over them. We had a wild as Circuit Royale between Atlanta Reign and the Toronto Defiant, which went 7-6, I think it was the final scoreline, where both teams just had blistering fast offenses and just going absolutely crazy. But whenever Atlanta are able to play Tracer Sombra, they're just a better team. They are just a better team than everybody else. Who they're not better than, though, at least this weekend, was the Houston Outlaws. Houston Outlaws finally bounced back after a terrible weekend in the first week. Bounce back and they take down the Atlanta Reign, breaking a 13-match win streak, giving Atlanta Reign the first loss of the season. And it was probably one of the best matches that we've had all year in terms of top-end play. I have that one reviewed on YouTube. If you want to check that one out, you definitely should if you've missed it. And Atlanta Reign, there's weaknesses in their Ramatra compositions. They definitely don't look as solid on control, playing the rush. And because of the map pool, you can't really just play Tracer Sombra everywhere. So that gives sort of Houston Outlaws and some of these other top-end teams which have more flexibility the opportunity to start taking maps away from Atlanta Reign. So blood is in the water for the Reign, and they're looking a lot more beatable. So we'll see if Atlanta Reign will come back that much angrier sometime soon, and if this is going to be a wake-up call that they need to keep focusing, keep improving, or if this is going to be what it's like for the rest of the season. I think a lot of us hope so. Atlanta Reign have been dominant for the last, 6 months, 5 months. It's nice to see some competition finally coming through. So big props to the Houston Outlaws for getting that win. Houston also 3-0'd the New York Excelsior. Houston just, whatever happened last weekend, they're just like, screw it. We're good again. Don't forget about us. I'm like, okay, my bad. Didn't expect them to stay down for too long, but came back in a big way after just 1 week. Then we also had a top-end match, Boston Uprising facing the Florida Mayhem, and this was a doozy match going back and forth, but at the end of the day, Florida Mayhem's flexibility to play other compositions on other maps, and because of that map pool, like I spoke about earlier, it gives Florida Mayhem a bit of an edge because they have a lot of players that they can move around without having to sub in players. So lots of flexibility, really putting that on full display and getting the win over Boston Uprising. But these guys are pretty much neck and neck. Boston and Florida absolutely vying for that top 4 position. So it's like Atlanta, Houston, Boston, Florida right now. And I think Atlanta and Houston are that little bit better than Boston and Florida. But, anything can happen. When we get into the playoffs patch, when Season 6 comes out, I think any one of those 4 teams right now could be the best in the league. So I think everyone's sort of waiting on what this patch is going to be, because if Sombra's no longer in the meta, Atlanta Reign are no longer as strong. If it's double flex support, all of a sudden Houston Outlaws have a huge edge, right? Like every team has their advantages. And final match that I have not talked about from this weekend in the West is Florida Mayhem versus New York Excelsior. Florida are just a better team. New York have been honestly impressing me lately. I think they've really got it worked out of how they want to play the matches, but New York Excelsior had a hard weekend. Houston, Florida, they're not there yet. I'm looking forward to seeing Excelsior play some middle of the pack teams of like, how would Excelsior stand up against Toronto Defiant or team like, what are the other mid of the table teams? Like Washington Justice, right? Like, is Defiant better than Washington Justice? There's a couple of teams that they need to prove that they can be better than. So we'll see. Maybe we'll get more answers this upcoming weekend. In the Eastern region, there has been a lot going on. Dude, there's just so many games of Overwatch going on, especially now that they've added these contenders teams into the lineup, which is good. More Overwatch is better. But quick PSA, if everyone's Pickems are kind of balked right now, don't know why these results haven't been sorted. Obviously, we just had a lot of layoffs happen at Activision Blizzard, which everyone's really upset about and disappointed about, and these are the kind of things that are starting to fall through the cracks. So hopefully this can be fixed and sorted sooner rather than later. But we're not going to have the results here, so I don't even remember what all the results of all these matches were. So it'll be hard, but I'll give you the cliff notes of APAC. Yeah, even the Pickems have scuffed for APAC. So Dallas Fuel still looking incredibly strong in the Eastern region. They haven't really been truly tested. They were able to beat Shanghai Dragons. They were able to beat Dreamers. So 2 solid teams, but the real test of time comes up this weekend when Dallas Fuel is going to play against Seoul Infernal. So that's really a battle of like who is the best in the East right now. Guangzhou Charge have officially imploded. So everything that we thought we knew is essentially out the window. But Guangzhou Charge had a colossal choke against the Chengdu Panthera this weekend, where they just, some weird hero choices, definitely not looking as well drilled as they need to be. What other news? Seoul Infernal's looking really strong. Shanghai Dragons finding some value. Seoul Dynasty have decided to be good and then decided to suck. Like Seoul Dynasty beat the Hangzhou Spark and we're like, they're doing it! Oh my god, Seoul Dynasty are stringing it together. Vindime was the truth. And then they lost to O2 Blast. They make it make sense. APAC is just an absolute roll of the dice. What else is there to know? I wish I had the like actual map results because I don't know them all off the top of my head. Overwatch League has the results. All right, let's jump in here. Completed matches. We can just get them. Let's make sure that we have them all. So yeah, this is the Guangzhou Charge beating O2 Blast. So they were better than O2 Blast. O2 Blast haven't been a great team, which makes it even more confusing how Seoul Dynasty lost to them. Shanghai was able to beat Seoul Dynasty. So it's like everyone's beating everyone, but then losing to everyone. Like Guangzhou beats O2 Blast, and then Hangzhou Spark beats Charge, and then, oh my god. Dallas Fuel beats O2 Blast. Pokerface not able to hold up to the Infernal. Dreamers proving still to be one of the best contenders teams that are currently competing in the league, but then they like lose to Pokerface. So like what? And And then what was the other one that happened that was a big deal? I think I've sort of already hit all of these ones. The real, like, I think I would have come out pretty confident in where Apex stood if Seoul Dynasty hadn't lost to O2 Blast. Because that's like such a huge wrinkle in how you would think about these teams and like the power rankings, because O2 Blast just haven't been very good this stage. So does this mean O2 better than Spark? Maybe, like, right? Like, maybe. It's hard. And for that reason, now we actually, let me do my Pickems first. Let me do my Pickems and then we'll do my power rankings. I was about to transition to power rankings, but let's get Pickems done first. Los Angeles Gladiators versus London Spitfire. I'm actually going to go for the Gladiators. I think Gladiators are going to come prepared for this match, but I think it's going to be back and forth because I think you can be as prepared as you want, but it will be close. Gladiators will end up like playing like a rush in the final map, and I actually think they're going to beat London Spitfire. So I'm going to go for Gladiators. If Gladiators don't win this match, I'm worried for Gladiators. Gladiators got a lot of questions to answer this weekend. Boston Uprising versus the Valiant. I think Boston's going to really show Valiant and give Valiant the business. I'm going to give Valiant a map. I think there's going to be one map that, you know, Valiant are going to have the advantage. If Valiant are able to play Rush, I think they actually have a pretty good advantage against some of these teams, especially if Seeker's playing that well. But anytime that Boston can play dive, they're just going to crush Valiant. Atlanta Reign versus Florida Mayhem. Ooh, this is a good match. I'm going to go 3-1 Reign. I think Florida will be competitive. I think this will be a close 3-1, but I expect Atlanta to still have the edge over the Florida Mayhem. So it'll be cool. If Florida beats Atlanta, that opens up a lot of storylines, and that makes it very interesting the rest of the season. So I kind of hope Florida wins, but I kind of go good conscience vote against the Atlanta Reign, especially after just one loss to the Houston Outlaws that could have gone either way. Ooh, Washington, Vancouver. Ooh, Washington, Vancouver. I don't think either of these teams played this most recent weekend. Vancouver lost to Toronto Defiant and lost to Florida first weekend, but Washington lost to Atlanta and lost to the Shock. So both of them are like, they lost the match that you're like, oh, maybe they should have won, and then got booty bopped by a good team. So it's like, they're both kind of in the same spot. So I kind of feel it's more about who you like more in this meta. God. I'm going Vancouver. I've been a Washington doubter this whole year. This is finally time for me to cash in the stonks. It's time for me to cash in. Let's go. Boston Uprising versus Atlanta Reign. This is a more interesting match than the Florida Mayhem one. And here's why. Boston's biggest strength is playing Tracer Sombra. But they're going up against the best team at Tracer Sombra. So if Boston tries to play straight up against Atlanta, I don't think that they have the edge. So I think both teams are going to want to play against each other toe-to-toe. I'm going to go 3-1 to Atlanta, and I'm going to give Boston the edge on like one of these maps where it's like things mix up. I think it has to be 3-1 Atlanta. This is an interesting weekend for Atlanta Reign because Florida Mayhem and Boston are both on the up and are both playing incredibly well. Oh, and then the moment of truth. Vegas Eternal versus the Los Angeles Valiant. Is it time, chat? Is it Eternal's moment? Is the toilet bowl going to go to the Eternal? They just had a finale. They're playing well. It is not time. I think if we go to map 5, Valiant wins. But Knife could just go Super Saiyan. I think I'm going to go 3-2 Val. I like that, Pret. Because I think if we do end up at map 5, Valiant wins. If we end up at map 5, Valiant wins. Because I think they're better at control than Vegas will be. But it's hard to really know because we don't know how well this team is playing. Like, maybe Finale is like a super missing piece. But it'll be a banger, dude. This is the day to watch. If you're going to watch a day, this is the one that you got to keep your eye on. Florida Mayhem versus Washington Justice. I'm going to go Florida 3-1 over the Washington Justice. And then London Spitfire versus Vegas Eternal. Oh, God, same old problem. I think Vegas are going to struggle to know how to deal with this. I think London's going to catch Vegas off guard. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how prepared Vegas are for this series. But I think it has to go to the Spitfire in this situation. And then Gladiators versus Titans. Ooh. How far have the Gladiators fallen? I think I still have to go for Gladiators. I think 3-1 for Gladiators. 3-1. I think they're still a better team. I think people are overreacting after these two losses. Because they lost to Valiant and then they lost to Shock. I think people are overreacting. And they've had a week off, mental reset. I think they're good to go. But he's saying it's good. But it's like Kev's the Yaki. Like, I don't know. I think I'm going to give Gladiators a pass. All right, let's do the East. Soul Infernal, I think I'm going to win 3-1 over the Dallas Fuel. I think Soul Infernal are just a better dive team right now. Dreamers versus Soul Dynasty. Soul, don't you dare fucking choke on me. Don't you dare. Actually, no, this is Scream Soul Dynasty choke. I'm going for Dreamers. I've had enough. Hongzhou Spark versus Pokerface. Pokerface have been playing well. They got some good wins in the most recent weekend. But I'm going to go Hongzhou. I think Hongzhou in general, I think, have done pretty well against contenders teams for the most part, if I'm remembering correctly. Dreamers are going to 3-1 0-2 Blast. Guangzhou Charge are going to get 3-0'd by the Dallas Fuel, because I just have no faith in Guangzhou Charge anymore. Soul Infernal are going to 3-0 the Kongdu Panthera. Hongzhou Spark are going to lose to Shanghai. No, I think they're going to win. I think the strengths of Hongzhou and Shanghai are the same. I'll give Shanghai a map. 0-2 Blast versus Panthera. I'm going 0-2 Blast. I'll go 0-2 Blast. I'm going to go 3-2. It's going to be close. Soul Dynasty versus Pokerface. 3-1 Soul. This is here I'm gambling on Soul being fucking weird. I can see Soul losing to Dreamers, then for some reason beating Pokerface. That's what I'm going for. It doesn't make sense, but that's how it has to be. Guangzhou Charge versus Shanghai Dragons. I'm going to give Guangzhou a map, but Shanghai Dragons take that 1-3-1. And those are my East predictions as well. Pokerface lost Finale yet, so I think Pokerface is definitely going to get weaker. All right, let's go. We have some Pickems, so let's do this. Power rankings. Houston Outlaws are going into the top end of the bracket again. They beat Atlanta Reign. With that said, Houston Outlaws are going to stay at number 2. I think Atlanta Reign, one loss is not going to make me topple them from the top of the power rankings. Houston, they deserve to be in the same tier break, but they are not going to get it. Florida beat Boston in their head-to-head, so Florida definitely stays above Boston here, but there's a tier break between them and Houston Outlaws and Reign. It's a small tier break. And maybe this tier break disappears after this weekend. We'll find out. And then tier break. This gets really fucky now. Because this is like a circle of like, make it make sense. So I think Shock are further down. I don't think Shock have been playing that well. But Shock also 3-0'd the Gladiators last time they played. So, like, I don't even remember what we did on Plat Chat now that I'm trying to think about it. And as I said, Toronto and Vancouver are like, bruh. I think they have to be lower. But right, because, oh shit, I dropped my Pickems. Let me open my Pickems again, because there's a, so in the opening weekend, in the opening weekend, Toronto beat Vancouver. But Toronto beat Valiant. So I think Toronto has to be somewhat high, right? Because this week they lost to Boston and Atlanta, so you can't really hold that against them. So I'm going to go Toronto. Oh, fuck me. Gladiators. Who did Vancouver lose to in the opening weekend? Florida and Toronto. I actually kind of like this. New York above Titans. Yeah, I'll buy. I was really hyped on New York. I think this is good. Toronto, New York, Vancouver, Shock, and then Washington, because Shock beat Washington, and Gladiators have just been kind of sucking. I think this is good. This is like a circle of anyone can beat anyone at any time. It's like the middle of a pack that we need to just see each other play each other. London goes up a tier. Yeah, okay, I'll put London in this tier, but they're staying at the bottom. I'm not sold that London Spitfire have proven that they're able to like do it consistently and beat good teams. Plus, they're kind of like cheesing their way to success, which is a fine thing. But I'm not going to put them up in the power rankings for that. Valiant are going to stay above Vegas. Vegas, they have to win a map before we can start moving them up the power rankings. Maybe if they beat both of these teams, they could end up in the circle of mid that's going on up here. So, then we go over to the APAC region, and we got a new little tier list here. Someone made it for me. Ruff, thank you very much for making this one. So, we're actually just going to do like an actual tier list. We don't actually have like a ranking one because Solomon hasn't made it. It's just kind of chaotic. So, let's get into it. We got Dreamers. I think Dreamers are going to go in B tier. I think Soul Infernal have to go S tier. And then I think Soul just sits in S tier. I think they are the Soul team in Soul. Get it? Soul team in S tier. And I'm going to put Dallas in A. I'm going to put oh my god, this is so hard. Is SPG still in? They didn't play any games this weekend and next weekend? Is this team? Are these teams? Oh, they are the teams that just qualify for play-ins, right? All right. Well, I'm not going to put them in because they haven't played recently. We'll talk about them later when we get there. Poker Face just lost finale, so I think I'm going to put them in B tier. Yeah, I don't think we ranked Rhodes in SPG yet. Then we're going to go Pantherian C. I think Spark are going into B tier as well. Shanghai goes into B tier. Charge are now in C tier with Panthera. Soul goes B tier. Does Spark deserve to be in A? O2 and C. What do we think? Spark, yeah, but I know Spark don't deserve A. That's so true. Like, I kind of wanted to give Spark the benefit of the doubt, but it just feels weird putting them there. I think it's just Dallas alone in A tier. I think I agree. Because all of these teams, they just like punch upwards and punch downwards. All the time. But, hey, you know what? That's what we're going to do. I don't think it's going to get more coherent than this because it's just too chaotic. It's just too chaotic. We'll never know. So that's my power rankings for the Eastern region as well. Rename middle tier to Circle of Suck. Hey, that's good with me. Circle of Suck. There you go. Circle of Suck right in the middle. they'll decide if they want to be good this weekend. But that is my weekly recap. I hope you guys enjoyed it. A nice little quick one. There hasn't been a lot that's happened this week, but there are going to be some great matches this weekend. For me personally, I'm not going to be casting the West this weekend. Jaws and I will be casting APAC. So if you want to check out me and Jack casting some of that, you're going to have to stay up. I'm going to be waking up for those matches. So we'll see if I can string sentences together that early in the morning. It's up in the air at this point. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Another great week of matches, but some more great ones to come. We're almost at the end of this patch. We have the big patch for Season 6 and the Overwatch League coming up in a few weeks. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.